If you didn't understand before, I hope you understand now. Because you're now listening to the We Talkin Podcast, brought to you by Island Girl Team. This podcast, we are literally talking about every and anything with your girl, Kamilah Gumbs. So subscribe from wherever you get your podcast and get ready to talk. Welcome to episode 8 of the We Talkin Podcast. I am your host, Kamilah Gumbs, and I have with me once again, Miss Nian Fleming. And today we have the Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Claudius Buncamper with the MP Faction to speak with us here today. So before I go into this interview, like I mentioned, MP Buncamper is a member of the Sint Maarten Parliament representing the United Sint Maarten Party. And before he entered into politics, he served as the head of infrastructure management in the Ministry of Public Housing, Social Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, or how we love to say it as ROMI, from 1996 to 2020. He is also very a part of our community as he served with the St. Martin's Lions Club. And of course, he loved to spend time with his family and friends, relaxing and having a great time. So MP, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Kamilah and Nian, to be here. This is new for me, the podcasting. I think I'm still the older generation. So, I'm getting accustomed to it, but I'm enjoying it.
No, it's good. Thank you for being here again. So we're going to jump straight into our questions this afternoon. So first question, we want to really talk about the United Sint Maarten Party and, you as the faction leader. We would like if you can explain the party's current ideology, its vision for St. Maarten, and what steps that are being taken to execute this vision in Parliament.
Well, I think the USP, in my opinion, is a liberal party. We are a central party. I think all parties in St. Maarten basically carry the same stance. I don't think there's a far right or far left or left and right. While we all believe in capitalism, at the same time, we look at socialism because the island is too small. So for you to really have an extreme vision on one side or the other, I think it's going to be very difficult on a small island like St. Maarten. So in that, I would want to say we are more a liberal party. And we are looking at this point in time, well, prior to COVID even, we were really looking at how we can do tax reform in St. Maarten, economic diversification. Immigration is more one of my personal desires that the island needs to be cleaned up a little bit. And when I say that, I want to be very cautious in stating those that are here documented are not the discussion. Those that are here undocumented is something to seriously look at because the country, since the COVID pandemic, has really taken a very serious beating economically and financially. And if you can't even take care of your own, it becomes very difficult to take care of your neighbor.
It is true. And I know you talk about mentioning with tax reform and et cetera, especially post-COVID. And now with the situation that we see right now, what is the faction's plan within Parliament in order to work with the various ministers in regards of those areas with tax and even with immigration as well?
Well, I think when you look at the aspect of taxes, you have to really realize that the system we have is not working for St. Maarten. Maybe 20 years ago, it was still okay. But today, things have changed drastically. We have a situation where 54% of our working population earns minimum wage. From minimum wage, there's no tax derived. So the basis that pays tax is those that are earning. The other 46% pays for the complete 100%. So there are two things. The division of wealth is also not straightforward, but the methodology that we have with taxes is a very progressive system. The more you earn, the more you pay. It is a system that tells you don't earn a lot because you have to pay a lot. So you see, it's not like the American system where it's capped. Even in the Netherlands, it's capped. There are brackets. By us, you can go up to 55%, I believe, paying taxes. And then you have if you have a company and you made a lot of money, they want 24.5% in profit tax. So nobody really is registering profit tax. Because if you can tell me that I have an economy of 1.7 billion guilders and I could make a measly 25 million guilders in profit tax, then something is wrong. Something is dead wrong in your numbers. So you see, we have to learn to become honest with ourselves. Because we pretend. Sint Maarten has too many hypocrites, in my opinion. And it's a big word that I always use. I hate liars and hypocrites. And my problem with it is we all know the game. We pretend as if we don't. We all know what's happening in Sint Maarten. We don't like to admit it. That's a different story. And when it doesn't sound right politically, then we definitely talk about it. But I'm not a career politician. I am going to run for one term. That's what I promised myself. Unless I find myself in my fourth year of my term trying to finalize something that is exceptionally important for this country, then I reconsider running. Otherwise, I will not be running the next election. So I don't have nothing to lose. I don't need to please voters. I need to fix my country. I have no other place to go to and call home. And no disrespect meant to anybody. But Sint Maarten is my home. I am a 10th generation Buncamper. So I don't need to ask if I belong here. I know I belong here. There's a big difference between me and a lot of people when it comes to that. So I firmly believe that in tax reform, we need to start helping those that need help. Those that need, in my opinion, the most help at this point in time are the pensioners, the people that have built this country. They made Sint Maarten what it is today. And those are the ones, because of the system that we have, are paying their price now because they are taxed also. But we must be fair. They also had the privilege to subtract a percentage of their their pension premiums that they were paying from their taxes. So they paid less taxes. So if you want to change it, because it's not difficult to change, but there must be willpower from all of us. That we will say, at the end of 2021, we will no longer tax the seniors' pension. And in the same breath, we will say that those that are working and have a pension will no longer be able to subtract their pension premium from their taxes. And then you will start to create a balance. It doesn't mean to say that all the monies you save by not taxing, all the monies that you will not be receiving anymore because you're not taxing the seniors will come from that one, from that not allowing people to subtract taxes anymore from their system. But it will bring you a long way, and it will start opening the possibilities with simplistic reforms to at least start taking care of the seniors. It is not going to solve tax reform because our biggest problem is compliance. A lot of people in Sint Maarten are not paying taxes because they don't even register. And our tax office is so under staffed presently, 60 vacancies, that they don't even go out and look for people that ain't paying taxes. They will tax those that are registered. So like people that own houses here with Airbnb, nobody pays taxes. People living in a lagoon, walking people, nobody pays taxes because they're not registered in the tax office. That's a problem. So in tax reform, you have to make it so that if I can't catch you one place, I will catch you another place. And that's where we said maybe, just maybe, if we introduce a tax. Right now we have turnover tax that is 5%. 1% is valued 30 billion guilders, approximately. So if you replace turnover tax with something like what they're talking about a VAT, a BTW, and they were talking about 12.5%. That's a proposal. Seeing that we have the French side, you're going to have to make some very, very serious agreements with the French side. Because if you would introduce it hypothetically, 12.5%, 30 million, you suddenly have under VAT tax alone, you will easily, because you have to look at on what are you paying VAT. You're not paying VAT on just turnover. You're paying VAT on whatever you purchase. So if your economy is 1.7 billion, that means your VAT should be also going that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And on whatever else you do, you're making a VAT too. So you still have wage tax. Let us not say that we have wage tax too, because wage tax will always be something that you pay, but you cap it. That's my opinion. Minimum wage should be pushed aside and a livable wage should be created. And I believe a livable wage would be any place between 2,000 and 2,500 guilders. It's going to be in there someplace with the way prices are in Sint Maarten, because you can't change everything overnight. So slowly but surely, you will work towards regulations. Regulations on rental, regulations on utilities. Because you can tell a man you can't rent it for more than $500, but he invested significantly in it through the banks, paying heavy mortgages, and now you're telling him you can't make enough money to pay back your mortgages and live decent. Then you run people from investing. So like I said, it's a holistical picture, but we must want to start someplace. And I'm saying, let's start with the seniors. I don't know how long they still have to live. At least let them enjoy the fruits of their labor. Because right now with this pandemic, those people are being disadvantaged to the worst of the whole group. Because they are the ones that are mostly not mobile and can't fend for themselves very often. So, I'm saying, let's go that direction first. Again, we have to set brackets on the income of people. So let's say, from, like I told you, maybe from 0 to 4,000 guilders, you pay 5% tax. 4,000, 8,000, you pay 10% tax. 8,000 to 20,000, you pay 15% tax. And above that, you pay a fixed rate of 20% tax. Mm-hmm. Not the 50% we pay now. Mm-hmm. So people just move their money. They leaving it here in the tax plan. And that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. These are the type of things that as Parliament, we are legislators, but we are also the overseers of the government's operations. And when you see it's not going good, there's no reason you cannot say, stop. Let's review this. Let's fix this. Let's do something with it.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned about economic diversification, which is something that, we hear a lot recently, especially since COVID. What is USP's vision on what economic diversification could mean or look like in Sint Maarten?
Well, there are a few things. You have to look at the reality of Sint Maarten. We don't have much land mass.
Right.
So when they say, let's start agriculture, I am a proponent of agriculture. I'm even a proponent of cannabis, legalization of cannabis and medicinal cannabis. So hemp and marijuana itself, we plant them. Doesn't mean we have to plant them in the lands. There is so much of modern technology to do agriculture that's the direction we should go. We need to make use of the offers that the Netherlands gave us to work with the University of Wageningen, for example, and use some of the funds of the second chamber that are available to do this. But we have to be serious about it. We cannot all want to do our own thing. This is our problem. Everybody wants to do their own thing. And if it ain't their thing, throw it out. Pay no good. Find a reason to shoot it down. Mm-hmm. Whatever is there that is good for this country, we should use. So agriculture is a way to go because food security for every country is important, especially after a pandemic like this one has taught us that because you're small, you don't have much to say and you get when we got. So if we plant ourselves, we might be lucky enough to get away, when we have a hurricane, if these things are in containers and structured, buildings that can withstand a hurricane, you can do a lot. Same goes for aquaponics and hydroponics. You can use those technologies. You can still do a lot of fish farming. You don't have to clean out your seas. You can work with them. Now, mind you, once you start doing freshwater stuff, the health issues also play a role on how healthy certain things are. So again, I'm not expert in it, but it's there. It can be done because we don't have land masses. So that's the agricultural aspect. We're building up a 5-star hospital. We need to now ensure that medical tourism becomes the norm for Sint Maarten. It means to say we should have a few air ambulances on standby that we can fly to the country, pick up the people and bring them back. You know, we got to stand being progressive and think aggressive. You can't wait until other people do something. Well, you see, it worked there, let's do it. No. That time, that era has passed. Either you fuss in line or you won't be able to make it in the Caribbean. Cruise tourism is something we have had for years. One thing we have never had. And we never really pushed it. Now we are opening up in June with Celebrity Millennium. Let's go to home port here. We should find 1 or 2 more ships to home port. 3 ships is enough for Sint Maarten. You don't need more. That's 7,500 people per week coming through your organization. That's 30,000 people. Multiply it down the road, you'll notice that you're talking easily 260,000, 400,000 people just coming through and home porting through your airport. At $50, $60 departure tax, do the math, $28, $29 million just in a fee, a departure fee. So Sint Maarten has to start looking at numbers in a different way, in my opinion. But you got to get away from the backpack tourism in the cruise tourism. So with Kimpton Hotel, for example, now coming into Indigo Bay, that's going to be a 6-star hotel that's going to be built. It will be ready in a few years. Contracts are there, people are ready to move now. Western being totally taken over and redone completely in a JW Marriott, I believe. It shows that some high brands are coming back. That is extremely important because that will set the new course for the stayover tourism in Sint Maarten, and it will bring back the money that we used to have in the 70s. That is extremely important for us. But there are more things. I'm a firm believer in education. And that's the love of my mother. She passed it on to me for education. But why is it that DeVry University has 3,000 students in Kupakoi, and we can't get the University of Sint Maarten up to a level that we too can have a few hundred and eventually a few thousand students studying there? Why is it that we can't do it? There's no reason we can't. Because we can get accredited if we make the sacrifices and put the money needed to do this. It is all about choices. It's either you fix your basic necessities and then go to the luxuries instead of doing the luxuries and not the basic necessities. Education is the foundation of every community. Health is the economical pillar every economy. A healthy country is an economically sound country. An educated country is a country that can progress when it so desires, and it doesn't need a foreigner to come here and help me. Because my own people can do it. We have to learn to take our own and put them first. I have a big problem with it. I argue with a lot of people internally because I have an issue. Every time here a technical aid needs to come or consultant needs to come. And when I look in Holland and America, those people are consultants over there. But they can't be a consultant here. And the question is why? That's, we treat our own wrong, and we are paying a price for a lifestyle or a political vision that we have had from the 80s to today. And we are paying a dear price for it now. Because a lot of our scholars are not coming back or came back and were chased back off the island.
Yeah.
And today they're well established abroad. They're not going to come home just for that.
That's true. And
That's definitely true.
I'm looking into, I know you were talking about with the diversification with tourism and etc. How do you feel about, I think this falls under education as well, just implementing and being more culturally aware of ourselves and as St. Martin and as a people? How do you feel that that can be implemented as in the educational process for us as a people on St. Martin, but as well used as a tool to like help with tourism? Because like nowadays I know a lot of people tend to go for more of a cultural experience per
Right.
se than more of a luxury backdoor type of experience.
Exactly. Like example of that is like for just piggybacking off of what you said, like Jamaica, for instance, like people really come to Jamaica for its rivers, waterfalls, you know what I mean? To go see they're not really just coming for the hotel, you know what I mean? And what and also not only the hotel, but also the fact that what is our cultural experience? You know what I mean? What is it that we're integrating into our experience that people can know that it is not just an airplane onto the runway, but we also had, great heroes or, different things that happen that are part of our culture that they can know about as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this. I know later on we will discuss the petition.
Mm-hmm.
And when we spoke about racism, we are racist also. We, all three of us here, are racist. Because if I ask you to tell me who's a Sint Maartener, you can't. Because we have never defined a Sint Maartener.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about those that were born here,
mm-hmm.
the BB, the born here that believe they inherited everything. You have the born to be here that have built a lot of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have those that just tag on sake.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know who's a Sint Maartener. I said in the beginning of my interview with you all, I know I belong here. I got 10 generations. So I took it from the generational departure point and said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm from here. But there are other people that have 10 generations here, but were not born here.
Mm-hmm.
Are they a Sint Maarten? We got to learn to define who we are. And I wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly. We need to understand where we came from, who we are, and who we want to portray in the future to be.
Mm-hmm.
I am right now busy preparing a whole building of a new Parliament building. And I want to create in front of the Parliament building a huge, a plain, square.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to adorn the whole square with all our people that took office and all our national heroes. I don't only need them on the roundabouts. I need our heroes in front of our government buildings so that everybody knows who we are. And there was more than one hero on this island.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of heroes. Because of politically, you don't honor certain people. Gotta stop. It truly gotta stop. That's a form of racism. Either we acknowledge everybody or we acknowledge nobody. And then we let them teach us about Pete Hayne and all of them in school. But we don't want to learn about Dr. Watty or Vance James or Arnold Scott or what is his name now? L.B. Scott, P.S. Cole, Milton Peters. We name schools after Milton Peters, but nobody knows who the man is. It's a shame.
True. That's true.
It's a complete shame. We don't teach the children in school of their own. We teach them about everybody else. We teach them about Manley and Bishop. That's fine. I agree that we need to know our Caribbean heroes, but I would like to know my own heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know a little more about Juan Keteloke. I would really want, like in Curacao, You learn everything about Tula and Karpata and all of them. Yeah, we have no clue. We have no clue of the diamond run, the 27. Nobody knows them. These are things that I must give credit to people like Louis Leveis and Clara Reyes and Dr. Ruda Aranda. They have really fought to bring it up. Mm-hmm. But you know what? It is something that gets votes. So nobody worries about it. Mm-hmm. We need to take a step back as country, a serious step back, and say, what do we really believe in? What do we truly believe in? Mm-hmm. If we believe in things like agriculture, because a lot of us profess we do it. I don't see nobody out there helping Ras Bushman. I don't see nobody out there helping Militia Wyatt financially, so that they can make something of themselves. A lot of us start, even I spoke about it. But as soon as you try to do something, you slam into a wall. There's no money for this, there's no money. And I'm saying, but for God's sakes, then let's make money. Then let's not do other things. And there comes a time when you have to say, I'm not going to build a road in this country. I'm not going to fix this. I ain't going to fix that. I go do this alone. But sometimes you got to do certain harsh decisions. You know, St. Maarten has a long way to go because we left a lot of things undone over many years. And I'm not here to point fingers or blame anybody. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. The question is, how do you fix it from here? And how much willpower is there really in government to fix it? Like I said, I am not a long-term politician. That was not my choice joining politics. I thought, Tom, let me see if I can make some serious changes, because if I can't make any changes, then I don't want to. Let me go back to public works where I enjoyed doing what I was doing. So, you know, in that sense, I really hope that we can make some differences and make some changes. Like now I'm busy with the law on the breathalyzers, so that, you know, when police officers stop you, you blow, and if you're drunk, hey, let's go. Go long talk, we'll stand up on a leg and walk straight, put your finger in your nose, none of those nonsenses. Mm-hmm. Let's get it out of the way, let's deal with it. Same goes, for example, I have asked for a tolerance policy. We are locking up youngsters because they were smoking marijuana. Please, for God's sake. You know, leave them great in their backyard. They want to smoke it at home, God bless them. And, you know, they will say, oh, yeah, but, you know, they didn't get sick, but they were getting sick anyway right now. If it was illegal, they were getting sick. Make it legal, give it a tolerance, and hope. Then at least they can get some medical help. Because now it's recognized. You know, you got to look, the world has changed. Mm-hmm. Things that were taboo, things that were not good, things have changed. We got to become honest with ourselves. That's why I said, I hate liars and I hate hypocrites. Because you're a hypocrite when you tell me that 30% of this population don't smoke marijuana. We all know they do. Some do it behind closed doors, others do it on the road. Go to the discos. I don't go to the disco no more, come out smelling like a joint. Your clothes stink to marijuana. You go on the beaches, everybody's smoking. As long as you can control yourself and respect those around you, I think you're good to go in public self. I don't believe they should only smoke in their house. They want to smoke it. As long as you respect those around you. That's the important part. Respect is a two-way street. I will respect you, you will respect me. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, I'm working with the Justice Minister on it now, and I know it's going to pass, it's going to come just now, and then hopefully we can continue working on the law, because I'm busy with a group studying the law of Aruba, studying the law of Curacao, looking a little bit at the law of Antigua also, where these things are being implemented, Jamaica, where there's a complete industry on it already. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at those laws to see how we can do it. And sure, we're going to have some negative vibes about, oh God, look what he's doing. Illegalizing drugs. You know what? Illegalize prostitution here. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Women are laying on their backs here to make money, and we don't say a word about it, but we got a problem with smoking a joint. The biggest hypocrites I've ever seen. That's part of life. I live with them daily. And I have no issues with it. But these are the things that I am tackling and openly speaking about it in politics. Gay marriage is another thing. You know, people have a problem with gay marriage, and they say, as long as you respect me, Your choice is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
As long as you respect my domain too. You know?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Times have changed. People have changed. Even churches are opening themselves a little more because they're losing their parishioners. People are not old school anymore. You know, you hear a lot of people say, oh, we're old school. Yeah, I know, but old school dying off. So it's new school.
Mm-hmm.
It's new school. And you're going to have to adapt to the new school if you want your country to become progressive and survive. You have to do that. That's the norm.
True.
That is very, very true. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit right now, etc. So Nian and I, we watch Parliament meetings all the time. That's literally what we do in our pastime. So we're kind of up to date on the workings of everything that's happening in the country, etc. So what I actually want to talk to you about, you know, is publicly noted, said, as on record from yourself, that when it comes to the situation with our airport, you are in favor of the removal of the current CEO, Mr. Brian Mingo. So I just want to know more in depth. Why do you feel that this is an important step in rebuilding our airport? And then, you know, how do you think, with the assistance of the government as a shareholder in the airport through the Ministry of TIAT, how do we move forward if he's removed in order to continue and fix our airport to the highest standard possible?
Two things. Nobody is replaceable, is irreplaceable. Everybody is. You could have dropped down there tomorrow too, God forbid. What happens then? The airport stops building? No, we put somebody else and we continue. So we got to take everything as if we can't do it without him. We got to get that out of the way. Continuity is one of the most important things in any organization. But he wasn't there in 2017. He just reached. He reached in 2019. That does not do as if he was there all this time. So the biggest problem I have with Mr. Mingo's functioning is his ability to work with his employees. Can't work with them. How can you rebuild something? And you don't rebuild an airport just by putting bricks and steel. You rebuild it through its people. The people are the building stones of that airport. And if you cannot work with them, and you are continuously putting other people ahead of them, and the CFO position was a great example. Here you had two people at the airport with master's degrees doing financial work. You come and you say they can't crunch numbers. You publicly state that. That's why you had to bring in Dutch people to crunch numbers for you. And when the board of the airport, supervisory board of the management team sends two names to the shareholder, which is the holding board, and they're two foreigners, then I ask myself, you as CEO, you can't tell me that you couldn't tell them, we have good candidates here, look at these candidates. I don't want to hear, oh, but we had a process and we had some company from Curacao. What for nonsense is that? You're either the CEO or you're a puppet. You choose which one you want. Because it is a joke. It's a shame. You're supposed to be a son of the soil. And you push your own people aside to bring in foreigners. You'll be crazy. I can't support you. You have to go right away. Not today. You should have gone since yesterday. Because that can never help build that airport.
But do you have any concerns that, like, if the removal of the CEO and those who believe have the similar sentiments to you, that this would hinder the process of, securing funding?
Absolutely not. That's utter nonsense.
Okay.
A loan was signed with the European Investment Bank. It wasn't signed with Mr. Mingo. It was signed with Minister Aaron Atwell. He signed on behalf of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the trust fund loan signed with Country Sint Maarten. And Country Sint Maarten gave the airport the money, not Mr. Mingo. That does not, listen, this is all the political rhetoric that we got to take out a minute. Look at the facts. Yes, he's the CEO. Mm-hmm. Yes, the Dutch like him. Mm-hmm. And God bless him. Maybe we could give him a job as CFO. At this point in time, he is not helping the country by fighting his employees. Had he stood up for his employees, we had a strike in June last year. I can remember this whole, and look, I'm not talking about the Mingo Bryson saga. That's again, politics. I'm talking about the employees. Now you have the handlers. Sint Maarten Association of the Handlers. They're against him. They're telling him, go from there now. He has them working for 4 years in containers. That's not fair either, because he only came in 2019. But he has done absolutely nothing to rectify that situation. Those are your stakeholders. Your stakeholders are against you. Your employees against you. The holding board can't find you. But for God's sakes, do the honorable thing and move on. Okay. Why wait till he gets fired? Just go, leave. You are not fitting in the big picture right now.
And also another question that I have as well is that, some may say as well that, it's not Parliament's right or place, let's say, to say that he should be removed or anyone of that matter should be removed.
You're fully correct. It is not Parliament's. Parliament has no role in his dismissal. We have no role.
Correct.
Parliament can make it abundantly clear to the government of Sint Maarten who we have to oversee to ensure that they are taking care of this country the right way. Mm-hmm. What's happening at the airport, you better fix it, or you might get a motion of no confidence, as was told to the Minister of TF by MP Manuel that time. He made it very clear. We can't tell you what to do, but we can do what we have to do to you. Because at the end of the day, you are responsible to us as Parliament. We call the Minister to order. We don't call the CEO of the airport to order. Mm-hmm. That's how it is. And I fully agree, we have nothing to tell them. We cannot instruct them to fire Mr. Mingo. We cannot. That's not our place, nor will I ever go there. But I did give my sentiment that how can you as minister stand by? Or how can the holding board as shareholder stand by and see the demise of the employees, the demise of the stakeholders, and eventually the demise of the whole project go down the drain because somebody feels that they have decided their way. That's why I also made a proposal that we can ask the Dutch, please give Mr. Holiday some dispensation. Our present governor, who built the first airport from scratch, maybe let him go back down there and help build back this airport. Mm-hmm. Because it's not about the person. It's about the ability of the person to do what he has to do.
Okay.
And I do not believe Mr. Mingo has the ability at this point in time, under the circumstances where he has no trust of the employees nor the stakeholders to rebuild that. I sincerely don't believe that.
That's clear.
That is very clear for real. And continuing with the current issues that we have here in St. Maarten, if it's possible, can you really go more in depth with the issue with SFA, and especially with us being in the pandemic and the hardships, especially with the elderly and getting certain prescriptions, etc., like that?
Yeah. Now, I think there were a few things that happened. I think SFV was also going through a whole digitalization of their process. And remember, what they are trying to do is to be able to control how you're getting prescriptions. Sometimes people get the same prescription 3 times a month, where it's once is enough for the month. Mm-hmm. But they go there, they get it 3 times. Now, the doctor is paid on prescriptions. There was no real control of the patient, prescription, and SFV. They are digitalizing that now. So there's more insight, for example, on, okay, how much prescription did Mr. Buncamper get for his diabetes? but he gets 60 tablets for the month. That's enough. Why? How come he got 3 prescriptions of 60 tablets for the month? I mean, the other 120 must sell them. You see, and this is where things started to get a little difficult. For the elderly, again, like I said, because the elderly are very immobile sometimes, they get themselves confronted, but you see, they're accustomed of the old way, paper way. Go by SFV again, we think, but now SFV closed because we talking to the money because it's pandemic. So everything is digitalized. And I don't think there might be enough help. That's in the outskirts and not at the SFV office itself that they can go to and say, I need help. Or there are organizations that will pass by their house, maybe like the White and Yellow Cross can help them sometimes to get their medication done. I think it's getting a little better. I'll be honest with that. I don't want to pound down SFV. I think SFV has truly been trying during these times, to even keep up. Remember, SFV is also taking a serious financial beating every month because premiums are not being paid. Nobody has a job. And if they get a job, you're getting 50% of your salary. So that means 50% of the premium is going to SFV and not 100%. So I think SFV had those issues. And then naturally, SFV has been fighting for a while now to get generic medication, where we can do a lot more with generic medication, which costs is much less. And we might be able to buy it in bulk with maybe different organizations within the Caribbean or within the Netherlands. Even within maybe Florida or one of those places, I am sure that they can do their thing. I think what the noise you were hearing, this one get this and this one get that, the public tenders are kept, and when the powers are shifted from certain wholesalers to other wholesalers, everybody wakes up and my bread gone, so it's a problem. It's a small island. These are things that happen with shifting of, I'm not buying from you anymore because I can get it cheaper here. For me, as long as it stays on island and it's locals and the taxes are paid here, I'm not going to get into where it should be or where it shouldn't be. I think that's for the entities to do themselves. I came out of government. I know how it feels when a minister tells you, you can't do it with minister, this is the best to do. Yeah, but I feel, hey, God bless you. I advise you, whatever you do, you do. But SFV, I think they have their realms and they're dealing reasonably well with it. I think one of the other things that SFV is confronted with, and I know it's a big problem, is the AOV. AOV was just raised from, I think, 1,100 to 1,224. 124 guilders was raised, and we had to take the age from 60 to 65. Those things go hand in hand, because as you raise the premium, those 3 years that you give, they're nice, but they ain't going to do much anymore. Because the payment is becoming higher and less money is coming in. Curacao just gave a full report, and they are asking for such drastic cuts. I was one of them that also said AOV at this point in time is, in my opinion, a general old age pension or a general old age insurance. Which one is it? Because an insurance is different from a pension. I think I see it as a social pension. It's more like a social pension. People that don't have a pension get AOV, irrespective if they paid for it or not. And last piece I have a problem with, but I understand it, because SFV is handling the AOV on behalf of the government. Anybody living in Sint Maarten, as long as you have lived here for 50 years, you have a right AOV. So if you were here from 50 to 65 as a foreigner, a documented foreigner, you have a right to 1,124 guilders every month. If you decide to live in Santo Domingo at your 66th birthday, for example, or you go back to America, you will still get that money every month, even though you never worked one day in the country. That's the law.
That I wanted to ask is that you mentioned medical tourism, and that's something that you would love to see that the government or even the hospital looks into. But what are your thoughts on the fact that our doctors, for instance, are on rotation. Like, how are those? I'm not too sure if it's as much as when I lived there full time, but we have doctors on rotation coming from. I think also most of them come from the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
How is it? How can we there are additional ills as well, like challenges we face administratively in our medical system that we have to also look at before doing medical tourism. Would you think that we should do that prior to even or alongside looking at medical tourism? So the rotation issue.
The rotation issue is just simply because we are not employing the people full time. If you employ them full time, you're going to then have people there permanently. Doctors are expensive, specialists are expensive, and they're not in abundance. So you want to keep them here, you have to make them a good offer. And for you to be able to pay them, you have to have income from someplace. So either you're going to have it from medical tourism through a business plan, where you make the hospital sustainable. Because at the end of the day, if the hospital is not sustainable, we can build it at 10 staff we want. Yeah, it will fall asunder. You can't maintain it. And we are building a bigger hospital now. So we're going to have to ensure that the sustainability is guaranteed. Otherwise, your whole healthcare will collapse eventually. And I believe the business aspect might be a way to go. I'm not 100% sure if that's the way to go. But at this point in time, it looks like one of the more feasible ways to go.
So lastly, this is actually our last question of the discussion, and the big, I don't know how to describe it, the big picture of
buzzword.
The big something of this week is with the decolonization petition. So of course, after this week, yourself and various MPs, those who support it, those who don't support the petition itself, had different conversations, either through press releases, radio interviews, discussions in Parliament, etc. Do you think that there was probably a more effective way to conduct this process, especially seeing the reactions from your fellow parliamentarians, politicians in Holland, and of course the public in general?
I think there are two things that we need to separate, first of all. The petition and the motion on decolonization. The motion on decolonization that came from November last year, 5th of November, 12 of the 15 members in Parliament supported the motion. The motion was to proceed using an international law firm to write to the United Nations and ask them to review the process of decolonization. Why was that? It is the firm belief of the USP, and me in particular, that if the decolonization process was not finished, we should finish it. We have to immediately take out of that discussion the word independence. Because those that want to murky the water throw in the word independence right away. That's not true. That is not true. Angola is fully decolonized, but they're not independent. You can become an associate state, Commonwealth state. There are different things that we can become once fully decolonized. We're an autonomous state now, and we would have been decolonized if certain things in the charter changed, like the governor being appointed by the Netherlands and reports to the Netherlands. The governor checks all our laws, and I agree with him. I agree that he should check them. But I would have appreciated the governor being responsible to the country and not to the king. All of us take allegiance to the king or to God when we take our oath. I would love us to take an allegiance to the country or God. Again, I love my king in the constitution that I'm in. This is the constitution we chose. This constitution we have to deal with until we decide to change it. But decolonization means something a little different than independence in my eyes. So I supported the motion so that we can continue the decolonization process. Because in 2015, then Prime Minister Marcel Gumbs, together with the Prime Minister Henny Eamon in Aruba, and together with the Prime Minister Ben Whiteman in Curacao, wrote a letter to the king about the decolonization process, and it was not finished. And to Mr. Rutte, the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. I don't believe it was the king, it was the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mr. Rutte. They never followed through. They never pulled the trigger as the Parliament of Sint Maarten now did. That says, go to the United Nations with a special reporter and have this investigated and check it if it's really so. That is one thing. That's what we support. The motion. 12 of us did. Then came the petition. The petition was a roll-off of the motion. If you ask me, should we have discussed this before we had put it out publicly? I would have told you yes. I think that would have been the better way to go. Would it have changed if the petition was going yes or no? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That petition was going. And then the other question was, in the petition, you're talking about eradicating the cohort. And on the other side, the government that you are supporting as coalition told Holland, but they said, we got to go. We agree with the cohort. I have support in Parliament. Both stories are true. Because the government has agreed to the country packages. And the government has agreed to the cohort. The Parliament told the government back in December when they came, and I'm now going to speak for the USP. Solely, I told the Prime Minister, I will not stand in your way. Do what you need to do for the country of Sint Maarten. But when the laws come to Parliament, that's when we will discuss them. And if they're good for the country, we will support them. And if they're not good for the country, we will not support them. So when the 3 laws came on the cuts for the salaries of the civil servants, the cut for the salaries of the political office holders, and the cut on the personnel packages of all the semi-government-owned companies, I agree. At this point in time, it is the best thing to do because, and now I'm talking primarily for the politicians and for the civil servants, I thought it was the best thing to do, seeing that government basically had no money. And the money they were getting was liquidity support money. And if the Dutch are saying, listen, you want my money to pay your civil servants, I want you to do A, B, C, D. And that's why I had a problem with the law being never ending. But they said after 6 months they will review it. So I said, fair enough, I will go along. And if after 6 months they don't, we are in a better position, then we will review that. We move the law. Because the same way we brought in the law, we will take back out the law. I don't need Holland's permission for that. I have enough trust that our governor, a local born Sint Maartener with roots 10 generations going back, will not destroy his country because the Dutch say so. I have that much trust in Dr. Eugene Holiday. I really have that trust in him. I'm not going to believe that he's going to block it, the Dutch will block it, and disrespect him in that form, in any form or fashion. I truly believe that the gentleman is a good person and has this country at heart. Truly believe. So in that sense, I have no issue with supporting these laws. The cohort law is a different law. Cohort law has to come to us yet. We haven't even seen it. So to go and say no, I'm supporting the law, that's ludicrous. I never said that, and nor will I say it. I haven't even read it. Again, like I said, if it is good for the country, then I will have to make a conscious decision on how I'm going to vote. Because my party does not support the cohort. I'll state that publicly. I haven't taken that harsh line yet, but I am from the USP party, and I must respect my party also. I'm not going to just vote against it because I'm opposition and I have that luxury. Because I don't need to vote for it. I can vote against it because I'm opposition, they say. They got enough, let them vote for it. when the elections come, you can beat up on them because they're the ones that voted for it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to vote for or against it based on the merit of the law. Mm-hmm. And if that law merits be passed because it's the best thing for this country, carry my support. And if it does not carry the support of mine, is because it's not the best thing for this island at this point in time, or for this country. I think, to be honest with you, the Coho law is in a lot of trouble right now. The election results of Curacao of yesterday sent home the government of Curacao in a whopping defeat. The party of the former Prime Minister Kenneth Scott won with 9 of the 21 seats. A party that was not even in government at this point in time, the PNP, won 4 seats. Together, they already have 13. They have a new government. Both of them are vehemently against the Coho. So I don't know where the Coho is going to find its support in Curacao come May 11th when the new Senate sits. So you see, like I said, a lot of things politically are going to also play out. But for me, it's not politics. I have always stated I will not play politics with Sint Maarten's business. I will give it an honest look, and I will speak my opinion fairly like I do here. This is a podcast. Everybody will hear it on Monday. So for me, I have nothing to hide. I will call it as I see. I believe if more of us do it that way and stop playing politics with it, I think the country has a decent chance of moving forward slowly but surely.
That's true.
I think a question that I had is also about, consultation with the public, because I think a lot of not only just hearing the news about, the trajectory that Parliament, the majority in Parliament is taking on this issue, but I think that a lot of people are confused about what the trajectory is and why, and also the how. I think that's a big, big, big misconception. I think it's only for those like somebody like me and Kamilah who really go through the information, try to get to the bottom of it. And I think that it would help maybe if you can do it briefly of, why was this trajectory chosen? How? Why did you do it why did you do it this way? I think that's a big misconception. And how, I guess my last or their last question would be is like, how can I find myself in this? You know what I mean? Like where's my opinion in this, or what part do I take in this? I think that's one of the main questions as well.
I think the last question, how can I find myself in it? If you voted in the referendum of 2000, you should find yourself in it. Because we wanted to be decolonized. We wanted to be away from the Netherlands Antilles. We wanted the status like Aruba. That's what Sint Maarten wanted. And Sint Maarten forced Curacao, Saba, Statia, and Bonaire to get out of the Netherlands Antilles. Sint Maarten, back in 2000, because you see, they're doing as if this is something from now. This is not from now. This whole separate status or full internal self-government. In other words, out of the status of having a big brother watching you. Curacao, he said we're going to have a direct relationship now, one-on-one with the Netherlands. That's what we voted for, and that's what we got. The problem became the charter. The charter is the issue, not only the decolonization.
That's what I'm there saying, that isn't the issue in the constitution or the charter, let's be more specific, the charter, then it is about decolonization. And if it is about the charter, why are we not talking about constitutional affairs and not decolonization?
I will tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because we can't even get the attention of the Dutch when it comes to the geschillenregeling.
The dispute regulation.
The geschillenregeling is, in English, you call it the, like an arbitration ruling it was, but I'll get the word for you just now. I just have to think it through. For 10 years, we are fighting in Holland, in the second chamber, first chamber, and all of them, on how we can come to an agreement that when we have a disagreement with each other,
the dispute regulation.
Thank you. For 10 years, we are fighting and they can't get a place. They totally dismantled it, and a toothless tiger was sent to the first chamber. Then after the dispute regulation committee gives an advice, not a binding decision that we have asked for, but an advice, second chamber can still push it aside and do as they feel. That's what we get in after 10 years. So why we go to the UN? Because it will embarrass them. It will embarrass the Dutch if they don't fix this. The charter is the issue. But talking nice to them, you will reach no place. So I want to believe that was a fundamental reason to go that direction.
Okay.
Force them to address it. Because when we have nice little talks with each other on a little coffee, we go absolutely nowhere.
Okay.
I think this parliament is a more radical parliament. It's a parliament across the board that supported it, with the exception of 3 members, MP Westcott, who is old school in my opinion, because she was there. She's the mother of 10-10-10. And the PFP, which is a quite young party, with a lot of intellectuals and millenniums in it, I want to say. They all have a different view. But both of those parties, the UD and the PFP, I am more than sure that they too believe that the charter is not correct and the charter needs to be fixed. And that we chose, and I say we because I did support the motion granting the right to do the petition, that we chose to write a petition and go to the rapporteur of the United Nations, and that we use the word racism instead of inequalities, because that's another word we could have used, but it is not such a strong word. It's not a word that pulls out reaction. Because when you say, yeah, we are treated equal, that's nice. No, we are treated, they're like racist against us. That wakes up a sleeping dog right away, especially in the Netherlands. The timing was strictly, in my opinion, political. Strictly 1 week before Dutch elections. You notice nobody said anything that was in the media, nor here, nor in Holland, nor in Curacao, before the end of the elections in the Netherlands. Knops wrote his letter on the 16th, but it never hit the media in Holland until after the elections. That's what you call the fourth power in politics. While you have the 3S politicals, media was the fourth power, and they played it well. But the results in Holland also were very clear. The Z66 scored exceptionally well, and they want to break the barriers of between the partners in the kingdom. Bring down the barriers and start talking to each other. Let's reunite with each other, you know? The song Reunited and It Feels So Good. Maybe that's a song we should start playing as a theme song within the kingdom and try to bring the partners back to the table, but at least under a respectful basis. I don't believe the kingdom has it all, destroys Sint Maarten and destroys people, but I do believe that the manner of approach, and sometimes the disrespectful manner of approach, has pushed away a lot of people from the negotiating table and the discussion table instead of bringing them closer.
Okay.
I have a question in regards of the petition itself. So I know you mentioned the whole use of language, etc., with the use of racism in it. I don't know if you could answer this question fully, because I know that even though you support it, it probably didn't came straight from you with the petition. When it comes to the deliberation of what the language and what content was going to be used into this petition, what was the conversations around it? Because I had the opportunity to read it, and while I probably have personal sentiments that can go online with, we want better treatment, we want better things, etc. From my point of view, especially as someone that is in the process of writing a paper that's probably could be equated similar to the petition because it's related to policy next year, the formatting of the petition is kind of iffy per se. And I think that's also an issue. Well, I'll say it personally on record. That's an issue I personally had with it. It's just how the content was presented. And I know when we have conversations now and everybody talk about it, everyone refer more to the Kingdom Charter. But if you're just reading it, you're not going to be like, oh, you kind of want to deal with the Kingdom Charter. So I don't know if you had any insight when it came to like writing the petition and going back and forth dealing with it, but I just want to know on those lines.
No, I had no part of the writing of it or the deliberations on the contents and so. I did see a draft. I will be honest and say we did see a draft. I think more people saw a draft, and I did comment that it had been easy. Mm-hmm. And I told them, you're going to wake up a lot of, you're going to get a pushback. As long as you're aware, you're going to get a pushback. Let's be honest with it, you get pushback. No, I did not have in the sense of, I wrote a chapter, or I wrote this paragraph. No, absolutely not. Already language is not my strongest point. So I just always contact the daughter or the wife to review my technical theory because I'm a technician by heart, and so my writing skills are not such strong one-sided that they would need me. I think along sometimes when people ask a question, but this one I want to believe was something in the making for quite a while. So when it came out, it came very rapid. It wasn't something that they have been running papers for 6 months across, check this, check that. No, I think that it came very fast. We saw a draft and got the original then. I think it was presented already, actually, if I'm not mistaken myself. The Koharas group put out the petition on the 9th, and we got it on the 10th in the meeting, I think. We got it a half an hour before the meeting started, and it was more like, okay, just for informational purposes. It was not debated and voted on, just that we are very clear. And that's why I said, supported the motion. Supported the motion, which granted that freedom to the President of Parliament. Is that something that I will review the next time around? I think I'll tell them, listen, if we can send out something, I think it is easier and wiser that everybody gets a good peek at it before. But, you learn from your mistakes. I'm not going to backpedal and say, oh, no, I did. No. I gave consent when I voted for that motion that they were allowed to hire an international law firm and that the President of Parliament was allowed to proceed with the decolonization. That he proceeded in the way he did with the motion, where the Presidium of Parliament did so. So the President of Parliament, the first Vice President, and the second Vice President of Parliament, because all three were involved in getting it ready and getting it out. Who saw what and who didn't see what in the Presidium, I can't tell you. I did see a draft. I'll tell you that much. That is true. I did see a draft, and I told them, this is some harsh language, and you're going to get a backlash. More than that, really, I didn't have anything with it in that sense. But no, I believe if we had discussed it before, I think it would have taken a lot of the, how would I say, the uncertainties and the conspiracy theories out of this world. I think us not discussing it before it was presented lies a lot, I believe, in strategy of the coalition partners. I think they must have seen it as a strategy, and because naturally it felt like a bomb. Yeah, and it hit the Washington Post, and the interview written by the gentleman when he called the Netherlands, Parliament was aware of it in the sense that it was sent. It was only on the 10th, the day after that this came out. But again, like I say, to cry foul about it, no. Do I support what's in the petition? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do support it. I do believe that a lot of what's written there, maybe it's not eloquently written. That could have maybe done a little better. But that there's racism, that's a fact. Let us not debate that. People want to debate, but it is a fact. Go on the internet. Just Google racism in the Netherlands. For God's sakes, they just had a major discussion, the 3rd of December 2020, in the second chamber about racism. Because it's real. It's real life. Blackface Pete. These are real life things in the Netherlands. So
I just have one more question in the sense of, what do you say to persons that, not even persons, but people that have the sentiments that, the separation between the coho and the country packages, also, the letter that came from the Netherlands to our Prime Minister. What do you say to persons who feel like, yeah, see, we did say this there would be, a form of contention between the Netherlands and our government while doing this country package because of this petition? What do you say to persons that share that sentiment?
Unfortunately, you share it. Because basically you are telling me now that I must agree to coho irrespective to what it means. And that will not happen. Coho will be dealt with on its merits when it comes. Up until this day, I have not seen the advice of the first chamber, the Council of Advice in the Netherlands on the coho. We were informed yesterday in a meeting with the Prime Minister that it reached. And that the work groups are now going to discuss it, and then it's going to go back up to the Netherlands so they can put in their feelings and what they believe it should be. And then when that is finished, it will then go to the second chamber, and then it will come to us. There will be a whole discussion then on it again. And if we then agree to it, we vote for it, and we take it from there. That's where the coho stands right now. So to tell me that, because you set up a petition and now the country packages are in trouble? No, the country packages are the country packages. The government cannot agree to the coho law. They don't approve laws. That's the job of Parliament. And the Prime Minister doesn't sit in Parliament. And people have to stop playing politics with that. Parliament will approve a law, and then the government has to ratify it and sign off it. Because we can approve it and they said tomorrow, no, we do it. Then what? So I'm saying Synopsis' statement is a bitter pill. He has to swallow a bitter pill. He lost 5 seats. He lost 5 seats in the election in Holland, and it means that the people don't like the CDA's way of working. The D66 won 8 additional seats because people believe they are the new voice. They're the new barrier breakers in the Netherlands. So I think, things are changing. Sorry, CDA won 5 seats, not 8. They went from 19 to 24.
Because I think that's one of the biggest fears with this whole process is that, to the public or anybody listening, that, this will harm, all the liquidity support that the government is getting from the Netherlands because of that line in his letter that, this as a result is grounds to terminate liquidity support, So I think that's also a fear.
That's not true because, again, you cannot tell Parliament what to do. He doesn't have that right. He is forcing the Prime Minister to tell Parliament, to tell him that they agree. Now, if that's not being a colonizer, then God tell me what it is. You understand? You are making a mockery of the democracy of Sint Maarten. You're telling the Prime Minister, tell Parliament they have to agree. And if they don't agree with you, people will start. On a law that hasn't even reached us to discuss. How far do you want to go? See, so I'm saying politics It's a dangerous game when you play. If we were all just honest, and I agree, the terminology in the petition about the eradication of the coho might not have been the wisest choices of words for the country. I fully support that. And that's why I asked the Prime Minister yesterday too, if she believes that the petition should be maybe adjusted and take out just that one line of coho. And when it comes to Parliament and it's ain't good, we're going to bombard it anyway. So what then? You got your money generated. You know, we got to stop being hypocrites. I am not going to take their money and then vote against something. If we going to take their money, we're going to agree to it and done. We not play that game of, when we get the money, we're going to share from. No. I did that game. If we take their money, I'm going to support it. That's why I supported the first set of laws. We took the people's money. You understand? You can't be, a thief in the night. You're thieving it, and because you take it, then you say, well, I worry them. They have to give it to me anyway. No, they have to give me nothing. It's their money. What I don't believe in is that they use their powers to be and block me from getting my own money through a bond or a loan, and then try to run the rhetoric of, but you're getting free money at no percentages, but you don't want to give me this and give me that condition. That is the problem. That's my big problem with it. You're denying me the right to float a bond and get my own money and pay 5% for it by telling me I'll give it to you 0%, but I want A, B, C, D, E, F. And then you get people in this country that have raped this country empty. Boy, if we don't do that, you see, they're for themselves again. Those hypocrites should shut their mouths. And they got this country where it is today. Those same hypocrites. And Buncamper says, who don't like him?
That was informative. I think that you really you addressed some of the main forms of, I want to say, contention, or the main challenges a lot of people have. Like, what are it doesn't some people believe one thing and another set of people believe another thing, and I think you addressed that in a holistic way.
Yeah.
I respect everybody's opinion, but I don't need to share it. But I will respect it. And that's why I said I understand the pain that they were feeling in the aspect of that eradication of the coup in the petition. I think that, in my personal opinion, might have been something we shouldn't have done. But that's personal. That's my personal opinion. But all of the rest, there, please, the racism and stuff, please. I believe it's there. But again, like I said, we are racist too. Because we can't even say what's the matter be. So, I'm saying they take it the way they want, and they will spin it the way they want when they feel what's best for them. And I'm saying those in Holland that do that, I understand. No big fight. You're dealing with your achterbank, you're dealing with your constituents. But those here, God sakes, man.
Yeah. Oh.
Why are you?
I appreciate it all. And we're gonna wrap up our episode real quick. And what we like to do is we do fun questions. Sometimes they really have nothing to do with the deep conversation that we just had. But the last hour is just a random throwball. So our fun question for you today is okay, so I know I wouldn't say you have multiple personalities, but people play multiple roles in certain positions. So now everybody you as MP Buncamper in Parliament, but then what type of person are you outside Parliament? If they see you on the road, if that type of vibe.
I'm a family. I love my family. That comes first. So the biological family and the adopted family. Adopted family is the Lions Club, Sint Maarten, and the New Clubs. love those. Me and Nian's father, we had a very close relationship too. And, we were brothers with each other. But I love to fish. I'm somebody I love to fish. I love to play dominoes. I love to barbecue. I just love to hang out and have a good time. When I was younger, smoke cigarettes and drink. Oh, I love carnivals to go crazy those days. Today, I still love the carnival, but I don't drink and smoke cigarettes. But I still love the carnival. I love calypso music. I love my 12 to 2 on Saturday with Tobias and stuff. That's who I am. And I'm not going to change because people want to change. I'm going to stay who I am. I am what I am. Mm-hmm. I am who I am. And, take me for what you see is what you get. I don't sugarcoat. I tell a white lie. I won't say no. I tell a white lie when needed, but I try not to lie. I don't believe in it. I'm not a hypocrite. If you have a right to it, I will defend it. No matter which side of the fence you are, no matter your race, no matter your choices, nothing. If that's what it is, that's what it is. And that's why, I'm grassroots. I can go any place in Sint Maarten and start a conversation with the most educated person or the least educated person, and I will respect you just as much. If you're dressed in a tuxedo, if you're dressed in a short pants with a hole in your mouth, no difference for me. That's who I am. That's what I am. I've always been so. I came from a very humble mother, well-educated, humble mother, and a father that carried the Buncampers. My mother was from Aruba. So to all my Aruba friends and family, a belated happy Aruba's Day. But that's who I am. I have 2 brothers, Carl and Claudio. I have a wife and 2 lovely children. In the Nian's age, I believe, Sasha and Anthony. And I have 3 grandchildren. Those are the joy of my life. They keep me young. So I love family life. I believe I'm the glue in the family, trying to keep it together when everybody argues. Okay, let's go. Let's change it. Let's start over. Take it from the top again. That's who I am. I used to play a lot of sports. I used to love softball, basketball, volleyball. But the body doesn't like it. The mind still says, oh, you can do that. But the body says, please don't get a food, boy. You're going to end up spraining something or pulling something out of place. Mm-hmm. I look at it. I love to look at it.
Yeah, that was a good thing. I think that people now know you a bit better. If they don't know you or they never been to Sint Maarten, now they know you a bit better.
Big facts. And with that, we want to thank you for joining us here this afternoon. Thank you so much for your conversation that you had. I think this episode was really insightful and opening to everything, especially regarding your party and your views, etc. So thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
And thank you, Kamilah and Nian, for having me. I hope that the message is clear, that my position on the issues are clear, and like I said, positions are taken based on information. If information changes, your position can always change. And I'm not too to say, oh, you can't teach me nothing. You learn things every day, and you adjust as the time goes and the country changes. You change with it. Because if you're fearing change, then you will never be able to progress.
That's very true. And guys, this was episode 8 of the We Talkin Podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.